I just want to support Deputy Function's proposed amendment. I mean, we've got enough reason to worry, given that the government have set their face against the appeals of survivors and people in this House to not exclude people, and have not provided an explanation, because we all know the explanation, it would appear, is about penny pinching on real justice and redress, in line with the sort of stuff we've been talking about on other issues in the Dáil over the last few days in particular, where the state does everything it can to cover itself against what it sees as financial exposure, regardless of the consequence for vulnerable people who've been wronged by the state. And we've seen it tragically again played out with this legislation. So it is telling that we say there's going to be a deciding officer that is independent, but in fact it's difficult, independence, the definition of independence in this particular role would be there is somebody who is willing to disagree with the government, who is seriously willing, if necessary, to disagree with the government, and would have staff and so on, if necessary, to disagree with the minister, to take on the minister, because we are dealing with a group of people who have been wronged by the state, and where they have very considerable concerns, indeed are deeply unhappy with the redress that has been established, because it excludes and because it is so minimal. So at the very least you would expect is that the deciding officer would actually have the capacity to be a bit independent, and critical to that would at least have the opportunity to recruit some of their own people they feel are expert or particularly suited to doing the jobs necessary. That, by the way, is not a negative commentary in staff that might come from the minister's own department or whatever, because I'm sure many of those might be well suited and well qualified. But really the deciding officer, if he's independent, or she, should have the right to decide what sort of staff resources they need, what kind of people, what kind of qualifications. But this clearly sets out that it's the minister really who's going to decide on the officers and the staffing of the independent deciding officer's office. The two things don't add up. It's not independence if the minister's making all the appointments. So I think it is a very reasonable, amendment that Deputy Function is putting forward. But I suspect, as the Minister has ignored the appeals on the bigger and more substantive issue, he's probably going to ignore these appeals too.